And welcome to the NDP Football Podcast, Splat in your ear. I'm your host, Matt Palash, and today is the debut of the NDP Football Podcast. I am very excited for today, and hopefully this debut goes well. First, we are going to talk about NDP against Linden. That game occurred last Thursday. There was a lightning delay, and it was resumed Friday. And then we are going to preview the upcoming game this Friday, NDP versus Muskegon Catholic Central. And in case you hadn't known, NDP has started the season 1-0 with a very strong victory against Linden. My thoughts on the game. I thought after, they had a little bit of a slow start offensively, a couple bad turnovers. But that happens, especially a lot at the high school level. But after that bad start, they just absolutely dominated Linden. And honestly, from the minute the game started, I knew NDP was better than Linden. Not only just better, but like significantly better. Like they were just all around better. And that all, for me, when I noticed it, it all started up front. I thought the key to this game was the line. Linden had a couple big plays, I think, but besides that, the D line was really strong, and then the O line also played very well. There were some losses. Some guys that graduated last year. There were some good O linemen, but next guy up, the O line, it looked really nice and smooth. I honestly thought the left side of the line was just so dominant. I mean, Antonio Pop and Nayland Fox were opening up holes so big I could drive the Linden team bus through them. I mean, they were just making some of those D linemen look like little kids. And it was entertaining to watch. That's where pretty much every single play starts up front. That's why you see in the NFL, a lot of GMs spend a lot of money on linemen because of just how necessary they are and how important they are for the team's success. They don't get a lot of love, but they are incredibly, incredibly important. On offense, skill player wise, I thought there was one guy I thought all around there were a lot of guys who played well, but I thought there was one guy who played really well, and I can just see how he's developed from his sophomore year on varsity to this year. And that is, you're going to hear this name a lot of times on this podcast, running back Connor Geschke. Connor's always been a power and speed guy, and every year that just keeps getting better and better. But the one thing I thought that he really improved on was his vision. He was pretty much finding the best place to run on almost every single play. He didn't miss a hole. He didn't run into a wall. And just he played a very well played game. And he was honestly on the Thursday night part, I thought he was the offensive difference maker because he was wearing them down. He was making their defense tired. And if you have a running back that can wear down a defense, I mean, just imagine what happens when you pass the ball. And later in the game, that's exactly what happened. They got wore down. That's what I thought. And then Benson had a little bit of a slow start, but after that, he looked sharp. He looked sharp. He looked like the quarterback that I remembered playing with when I was in 8th grade. But obviously, he's a much different quarterback since then. But he looks sharp. I think that's definitely an upgrade from last year. I think he's got a lot more precision passing the ball. I think down the field, especially. NDP didn't really have a ton of downfield balls because a lot of them couldn't be placed correctly. But this year with Jacob, I think that he can put it where it needs to be, and he's got a big arm. And that's really big. I think this offense is really going to be good this year. I think with that O line, I think with Connor Geschke at running back, which has been a strength for us since he was a sophomore. Also, I think the receivers. You've got a lot of big play receivers, especially two guys, Ethan Johnson and Clayton Bone. Ethan has the ability to get the ball downfield. He's a guy who can blow by you, and at the same time, he can jump right over you and catch the ball. And he is incredibly athletic. 3-sport athlete, really talented, smart, knows the game, strong receiver. You've got Clayton Bone, who's really crafty. He's hard to tackle. And you get the ball in his hands, he can make something happen. He is going to be a big part of this game coming up next week, I think. But we'll dive into that later. I want to talk a little bit about the defense now, which I thought, though the score is 27-19, I thought the defense played really well. And all those 19 points definitely were not their fault. I think, I talked about on the offensive side how the O-lines really kind of dictated it. I thought the same thing on the defense. Nayland Fox, Andrew Vella, and Blake Burr dominated the line of scrimmage. Linden had a really hard time running the ball. And another part of that is Alex Whalen. I thought he did a really nice job not letting the running backs get to the second level a lot. There was one play, they pitched it, and Alex came up and made a really good tackle. And it just kind of shows you how much range he's gained. A lot of these players we have on this roster are significantly improved from last year. That's the one thing that I've saw that really gives me a lot of optimism about this team. They really have improved. It's just, this team is one of the best I've seen, and I've been going to the school since I was in 6th grade, and now I'm a senior. I think this team has the ability to do a lot of damage to make a nice run in the playoffs. That's just what I think. It could go completely south. They could lose every game the rest of the year, or they could win all of them. But what I think they're gonna have the best season in a long time, because I haven't seen this team win a district championship. They haven't won one since 2004. That's a really long time. And I've been talking with some of the guys, and that's definitely something that they're striding for. They're trying to bring home a district title. And that is a really good goal. The one thing I've noticed too, just talking to some of the players, this team is definitely more tightly knit than previous teams. There's a lot more camaraderie. There's a lot more just team enthusiasm. And that, as fans, that's something we don't really see the significance of in the stands. But when you talk to the players, you really understand how important that is. I see the ingredients to a really good team. I also thought the secondary played well. And that is going to lead into my first award. We're going to have 3 awards on the show. Every week we do the podcast. We're going to have a defensive impact player, an offensive impact player, and since the linemen don't get too much love, a Lineman Love Award. So, we haven't talked about the DBs yet, and that is for a reason. My defensive impact player award for the first game goes to Clayton Bone, who, in my opinion, had the game-changing play. I'm not sure what the score was, but I think NDP was down. It might have been 13-0. And Clayton had a pick 6. And it completely changed the game. It took the whole game and just did a 180. From that moment on, I thought NDP just absolutely dominated. Not only that, but it was a really good play. I mean, he made a nice play to get to the ball. Then he evaded like a bunch of guys. I was talking earlier offensively. When you get the ball in his hands, he's hard to tackle. He's going to make something happen. And he kind of showed that on the defensive side. He was really elusive. He broke a few tackles, juked a couple guys out, and made it all the way. And that was a huge play. Sparked the offense, got the defense playing even better, and that was definitely the thing that put him over the edge. I mentioned Blake Burr and Alex Whalen. I was thinking about having them for this award too, so couldn't go without shouting them out. But Clayton Bone with that pick 6 clearly makes him the defensive impact player of the week. The offensive impact player, we already talked about him as well. It's going to be running back Connor Geschke. I mentioned earlier, I thought he wore them down. I also thought, when Benson was struggling a little bit early on, I thought he was able to kind of stabilize the offense and kind of get it going, And that really helped. In my opinion, I thought that really helped Jacob out a lot. Once he felt secure in the running game, I thought his accuracy, his precision, and his decision-making definitely improved. And I think that's something going forward. If they can get everybody going on the same page, this offense is going to be deadly. And the Lineman Love Award. I didn't think I was going to do this award, but I knew I had to. The Lineman Love Award goes to Nayland Fox. Nayland Fox was so dominant. The D lineman just did not stand a chance against him. I mean, on running plays, he was just bullying them around, and on pass plays, they just weren't going anywhere. They couldn't even get by him. They didn't even move him. I mean, he was just so dominant. And there are a couple plays where I'd see Connor Geschke running down the field, and then I'd see Nayland running down the field with a defender with him. So that was a real clear-cut choice for me. I thought Nayland deserved the Lineman Love Award. So overall, I thought it was a really, really nice win. And it's always nice to start out 1-0. You lose your first game, you're 0-1, you kind of start out in a hole. But when you start out 1-0, you beat a team who's gone to the playoffs 20 out of 21 years. That's a good feeling. So, next, I'd like to talk about the NDP versus Muskegon Catholic Central game, which is going to be occurring Friday, September 6th. And I think this is going to be a good game. I mentioned earlier, I think Clayton Bone is going to be important. I think against a team like this, who's ranked 9th in the state in D6, and the way they play defense, I think a guy who's very elusive and a guy who can make big plays happen is going to be really key. And I think the passing game is going to be important. We can't afford to have the slow start that we had against Linden. This team's ranked 9th in the state in Division 6 for a reason. I mean, they're good. They're a good football team. But in my opinion, I think we're better. I think we're significantly better. But we'll see what happens Friday. I think defensively, the key is going to be the same as it was against Linden, and that's going to be how the D-line plays. Linden's offense had a lot of trouble getting going because they couldn't establish the line of scrimmage. The D tackles and D ends on this team are really good. And I think if we can establish that line again, I think it's going to be very, very difficult for Muskegon Catholic Central to win this game. Especially with how good our linebackers played last week, and assuming that they would take that kind of performance into this week. And our DBs are just dangerous. They are incredibly dangerous. They can make a big play and run a ball back or make a huge hit and cause a fumble at any time during the game. I like this defensive backfield. We talked about the 3 award winners. Those 3 guys have to be on their game for us to win this game. If they are, I don't really see any. I'm not going to lie, I don't really see any way that we lose this game. We've got a lot of talent on that O-line, that D-line. We have a lot of talent in our receiving core. Very strong running back. A very good quarterback. A strong D-line. Nice linebackers. And a good defensive backfield. I think all around this team is very well built. And if this team plays up to its potential, I think it's going to be a really special team. I heard reports from the scrimmage that NDP did incredibly well. In fact, they kind of blew teams off the field. And so I didn't really see the blow off the field kind of performance against Linden. I saw a good performance, a team battle back, which is something that shows really good team strength, and it shows that this team is resilient and that they don't give up, which is a really important thing when you get to those tough games. And then this game is going to be a good show, and I think if they can beat Linden, which they already did, and then beat Muskegon Catholic Central, start out 2-0, that is really going to get the wheels going on the train. And I think once this team gets rolling, it's going to be very, very tough to stop. I like this team a lot. Next week, we are going to have, we are more than likely going to have a guest on. We will reveal who it is when the podcast starts next week. But look for those things that I talked about when you watch the game. The line presence and the big plays. Those are 2 of the really big key things that I'm looking for on Friday. Well, that is going to do it for this podcast. I appreciate you listening in. Thank you very much. I hope you enjoyed yourself, because I for sure did. Tune in next week and stay classy. Thank you.